Hello, can I interest you in a fourth line day? Today the sun moves into the fourth line of gate 48, the gate of depth, the gate called the well, and the fourth line is called restructuring. So the channel that it is part of is a collective channel, of course, and it's a projector channel. It's not manifesting, no? It has to be recognized. And so the other is very important in its process. This is collective art. This is collective talent. So when you get to the fourth line and you move into the upper trigram, the transpersonal skills of the upper trigram become really important. And the magic of that is to be found in the fourth line. Gosh, it's so windy at the moment. I've got the window open because of the blackbirds, but that means that everything else flies open. Excuse me just a second. Oh, and I'll shut this because a certain person is out shopping and they're going to come back in a minute now and make a lot of noise. Okay, normal service has been resumed. And the exaltation, the good sense to take advantage of restriction on short-term activity to assess the situation and restructure for long-term goals that will facilitate development when activity resumes. That's quite a mouthful. And the White Book said, the awareness that depth and its possible expression will face restrictions with a resulting taste for short-term projects. The whole thing about the 48 is that its depth can ultimately be of value to collective. The depth grows with time, but the ability to be able to express that depth not only takes time, but it also takes all kinds of connections with other people. And there are always going to be gaps in between because, the splenic center is not a motor. It's not the throat center. This is solutions based. This is a spontaneous solution out of the lymphatic system. If you have this activation, it may have been unclear to you why you've done some of the things that you've done, why you've met some of the people that you've met. What was it all about? When you understand the nature of restructuring, you begin to see that all of that short-term activity has been adding up to great depth. It's been filling your well. It's all been a question of practice, trying out solutions in moments of opportunity. It's a fourth line, remember. It's always about opportunity for the fourth line. When the opportunity wasn't there, waiting and recognizing that that's just how it works with the other and in the collective process. You have to wait for your opportunity to come from the other, because unless there's the other, nothing works. In the detriment, we have a resistance to restructuring on speculation, with a tendency, when activity resumes, to have to do so anyway. A taste for long-term projects that will be frustrated in restraint. If you want to do the whole thing, then you have to be able to control the whole collective apparatus for years on end, keeping it all together so that it can work. And that's very difficult. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means it's very difficult. It takes a lot of energy. There isn't a lot of energy around in this gate 48. These externalizers, these fourth lines, they're very fixed. They can be very influential. And their strongest influence is, instead of going through a lifetime of frustration and trying to bring out the big solution, recognizing that there's an advantage in just going through the process of working on any solution and building on the lessons that are learned. Let's say you have this line and you are a writer. You have the depth. And then all of a sudden there's a transit and the 16 comes along and you start to write. You start to write. Your depth is coming out and it feels wonderful. And then it stops. It might stop after an hour, after 4 days, it depends what the transit is. And also, of course, what else is going on in your process. The fact is that this is the line of stopping and starting. And it can drive people nuts. Because they think like the 18 line 4, genetic continuity, they think that they're incompetent. They start writing something and they stop and they burn it. They throw it away. They forget about it. They end up saying, "Oh, I couldn't do it. I couldn't fulfill that one. I couldn't keep going with that." And this is a lie, because the nature of this line is that it takes a long time to mature into the creative depth that is possible. Processes start and stop, and they stop for a reason. They stop so that new depth can be added before you return to the process. And if you don't know the mechanic, this can be deeply frustrating. It can be frustrating if you do know the mechanic, but at least you have that to fall back on. And it doesn't matter what else you've got in your design. If you have this activation, then there is a part of you that has to work on things in this fourth line way, and you can learn to trust it. Or you can live in resistance to it if you must, but you could learn to trust it. You could wait for that point where you can go back to it. You pick it up again and you sit back down and you're there, you're in it. This is an opportunity, this fourth line, to respect and honor your muse, even if your muse isn't always keeping you company. Learn to accept what you get existentially, creatively. Whatever you get, it is okay. When it stops, it is simply time to refill the well. The grounding is coming through the 21-4, which is called strategy. Having a strategy for your restructuring could be supportive, or perhaps those times when your muse has left the building, have a strategy to get you through those times. This line talks about establishing a proper response. And although it's in the context of control and rulership, being in the 21, it also applies here because of genetic continuity. So it's finding that strategy that's going to take you through those times. So the moon is still in gate 44 since 3:48 this morning. The splenic memory gate of alertness, which tells us that the success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions. This is the personnel manager who instinctively knows how to select the right person for a job. And the moon moves into gate 1 at 15:09. This is the creative, the G center gate of self-expression, with the energy potential to manifest inspiration without limitation. It is pointing upwards towards the 8th gate, which is in the throat, and it has the ability to focus on the creative process without concerns for outside opinion. This is individuality. It's about unique self-expression, stepping outside of the box, and in doing so, empowering others. And then we move into gate 43 at 2:25 tomorrow morning. We're still in British summertime here, so make adjustments as you need to. So this is a breakthrough. It's the gate of insight, the individual Ajna gate, with access to unique perception that can come as a result of sudden insights, with a constant process of structuring these insights so that they can be formulated as concepts that bring radically new information into the world. Keynotes for individuality are mutation, transformation, melancholy, empowerment, uniqueness. Whatever individual gate you're looking at in the whole of the circuitry, you can use these keynotes as part of its makeup. So that's what we're looking at as we go through. And of course, the first line is also there. The first and the 43 are both in individuality. So we have that strong focus on that. That's us for this line, the line 4. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be back tomorrow for the 5th line, which is called action. I'll see you there. Go gently. Bye-bye.